If you can put yourself back in the very first moment that you met Alec, what were you thinking and feeling?
It was in a courtroom, and I didn't actually meet him. We were about to, and then court started. It was when Paul Murdaugh was in a bond hearing for the boat crash, his son was. And I just remember being appalled by his behavior. This is a couple months after his son just killed a 19-year-old girl. And instead of being very somber and respectful and, I don't know, quiet, he was very loud and bombastic and like acting like the mayor in this courtroom, literally going around person by person and shaking hands. And I was just like, something is really weird about this guy. Like, I knew he was a schmoozer, but that was like another level of making a courtroom a political event when your son
Right.
is facing three felonies. Like, that was just an insane thing to me. I just will never forget that.
Right. That, yeah, it's like sociopath behavior. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
right. And I just
Yeah.
remember thinking like something, and this is just so weird to think, but like, there's so much more going on with this guy and more is going to happen. Those were my two like, and I
Oh.
just became glued and fascinated with every rumor that I could possibly dig up about the Murdaugh family. And yeah.
I'm going to get to this later, but it's so crazy how spot on your instincts have been about this. Like I've thought about this so like the psychology of this so much. But was there a moment that the first time you actually met him?
No, no. I've never, I mean, there was, we've locked eyes twice. That was in his court, that was in his son's courtroom. And then at his federal hearing, after he was convicted of the murders in Charleston, there was this weird, I was honestly trying to leave early and I was bolting out of the courtroom and I thought was a back way to get out. And he was going out of the courtroom too at the exact same time. And we met and locked eyes in the hallway. And it was the weirdest, and he was in chains and shackles and his like whole getup and just stared at each other. And it was a very profound moment for me because I remember the first time I saw him, I was just like a little local reporter that didn't know what she was doing and didn't even know what to say if I was going to meet him. But I knew like something was off about him. And I knew that like I wasn't going to believe what this guy was selling, whatever that was. And then seeing him again, being like an established person in media and somebody that people recognize and respect, and him being in shackles. And he also had talked about me on jailhouse phone calls. That was a whole weird thing with his son. He knew my name and he knew and his team knew that I was a big part of him being exposed and going down. So, but I don't know. I felt really proud of myself when there
Oh,
was
for
a
sure.
moment where we faced again, and it's like you're in shackles forever. So, gotcha.
When you first, and I only know the story from the Hulu, obviously, from the
Yeah.
documentaries and from Hulu. And so I don't know if it was depicted exactly as reality, so correct me if it wasn't. But in the beginning, when you were like, no, something is up here, like there's something to report on and something's not right, and you got pushback, what does it feel like in hindsight to know that like this huge thing and you were right and you knew it and the rest of the world didn't see it at that point in time?
So great. I love this question. My favorite question in the world because I do have to step back and think about that more. It feels really, really good because of the amount and because of the amount of pushback that I got and because of the amount of people that made fun of me and because of the people that said I was obsessed and the editors that said let go of it. It's not that big of a deal. And all of those people that just doubted and shamed and the other thing was just the small town attitude of I don't even know why you're trying, nothing is ever going to change. I heard that so many times and all of them were wrong. And I just love to be able to say that. And I love to be like, I'm still here and I'm still doing this stuff, and all of you guys are wrong. And you can stand up to a big scary system and a big scary family like the Murdaugh family, and you can make change. Um, you just have to keep going and stop listening to people that are just naysayers. Like that was a big lesson in all of this. And I love to think about like my old editor that lost me because of this story, because I was just like, he's not interested. He doesn't deserve this. Whatever I'm going to come up with is going to be good, and he's not going to deserve it. And I can't imagine what it was like for him to look like a fool on the Hulu show. And
Good for you.
yeah, it's just great.
I didn't
Um,
know. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I didn't know that there was that. Like, I didn't know people were making fun of you about this, or that they thought you were like being obsessive and crazy. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there was just a lot, and a lot of there was people thinking I was obsessive and crazy, and people thinking like, oh, Mandy, you're just being silly, chasing something, blah blah blah. But there was also a lot of people that were sent me a ton of messages and emails over those 2 years between when the boat crash happened and when Maggie and Paul were murdered, just saying over and over, I really like your reporting, but watch your back. These people are scary.
Hmm.
And that was another form of pushback in a way, because it made me question myself, and it made me like, is this worth it? What am I getting myself into? It made me really anxious. It made me really scared for my safety. And none of those people weren't trying to prevent me from exposing the truth or getting to the story or anything. I think they did want me to be safe, but I look back on that, and like those emails really and messages from people in Hampton really shook me up a lot, because like I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah, I wondered a lot about that, given how powerful they were and how much control they had for generations and generations. Were you not scared? Were you always watching your back? And did anything ever happen that was scary?
Yeah, always watching my back. I actually from around the time that the murders happened until after the trial, I don't think I drove once by myself, maybe once or twice. Like I
Mm,
stopped driving. I was so anxious.
wow.
Um, and so just constantly getting, I'm worried for your safety, be very careful. And I kind of became a recluse, like really had a hard time trusting people during that time, really kept to myself a lot, and did not do a lot of things normal, like driving or running, that could put me in some kind of danger. But I remember specifically in 2019, Liz and I were driving in Hampton, where the Murdaughs are from, like the middle of their territory. I live in Hilton Head, which is an hour and a half from Hampton, and it's like more touristy, and the cops are a little better. We at least know them there. And but the Murdaughs still have like pull over this entire area and over our entire judicial circuit. But there it's like the heart of it. And we were driving, we interviewed somebody in town, and we interviewed her at Hardee's. That was a mistake because a cop walked in while we were at Hardee's, the one like fast food restaurant in town. And then we pulled out of Hardee's, and a couple minutes later, a cop started following us. And we knew that he was following us because Liz turned her car around, and then the cop turned his car around. And we were on a rural road. It was really, really weird. And we literally just like left the county,
Yeah.
and called our cop friend from the next county over. And he said, stay on the line. I don't trust Hampton cops. And just situations like that were just very like, you just don't know what's going to happen in a place like that where there's really no accountability and no justice system that you can count on.
Yeah, yeah, I imagine it'd be terrifying. I'd be terrified. I'm terrified all the time. I'd be terrified to be home even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. At the Hulu event at Angelica where we met, Patricia Arquette, like so, um, she articulated so well. I don't know if you remember this, Alex's narcissistic personality and how it impacted all the relationships he had. Can you speak to that?
Yes, and that this was something that I figured out too in the process of my reporting. And I wasn't like aiming for a Hulu show. I met this guy in 2019 and was like, something's really wrong with him. He's
Yeah.
weird and I'm gonna figure it out. And for the next couple years, into the murder, until after the murder, every time somebody would read my reporting on the internet, they would say, I want to tell you something about Alex. So I got hundreds of phone calls from different people telling me different crazy stories of encounters. And I have friends that knew him. Um, I think one of the things that I learned about Alex is how he could absolutely be really, really nice to some people and absolutely turn around and be absolutely horrific to others, and that
Hmm.
human beings, especially narcissists, are capable of that. I had a friend who was a politician in South Carolina, and Alex helped with her campaign and was really, really nice and sweet to her, but also she was a politician who had pull and could help her. So after the murders, we had a lot of phone conversations of like, because she would be like, I don't think he did it. And I would be like, girl, like, uh, but when she finally realized she was like, she felt so fooled and felt so betrayed and didn't trust her instincts for a really long time as far as like how she thought of people. And I've just learned through that, like the psychological damage that he did to a lot of people was
Hmm.
really making people believe that he was a good person when he was just this monster. But yeah, narcissism was one of the root problems of him, every single thing. And that's his financial theft was such an important part of the entire investigation because it showed what a narcissist he was and how he would steal from families who were just lost a loved one and really needed money,
Hmm.
and he just needed more of it, and nothing was ever about anybody but himself.
Yeah, it was so interesting to hear her talk about it and to hear you talk about it because of just how his that personality him came out with his relationship with Maggie and with his sons and just with everybody that like nobody
Yeah.
was kind of off the chopping block, nobody, not even his wife or anyone.
Yeah, and that's also something really to like narcissists will turn on anyone if it means something for themselves. Like
Yeah.
they are the only one in their lives who they will protect at all costs. So, and it's like I really respected the way that Patricia took on the character of Maggie, which was the wife of a narcissist. And she did a lot of studying up on what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissist and really took telling the story of Maggie as a cautionary tale. Like, this is what happens when, even when you know that your husband is a narcissist and you believe that he really loves you, he could always turn on you because he will always look out for himself before anybody else.
Yeah, she spoke to it so eloquently. I mean, she had it down to a science. It was
Yeah.
really
Oh my gosh.
impressive.
She's so wonderful. Like, what an eloquent speaker and
Yeah,
just a wonderful
seriously.
person. And
Seriously.
brilliant. Really, really brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, I could tell for sure. How did you learn of Maggie and Paul's murders?
I was in Puerto Rico actually celebrating my engagement and woke up to, and usually as a reporter, I'm very close to my phone, especially in those days. I was like doing a lot of breaking news. But I was on vacation, was not paying attention to my phone overnight, and I woke up to 100 text messages and phone calls from a swath of random people that I didn't even know knew the Murdaughs, and it was before the news like broke on the internet. But people saying like, Mandy, get up, or Mandy, get home. You need to know this. Maggie, and the first thing I called, who's now my co-host, Liz, and she also shared in our obsessive investigation. Me and her just dug and dug into this family for the 2 years before that. And I remember this phone call conversation very specifically. She said, Maggie and Paul, she was like, thank God you're awake. I've been awake. Liz was awake all night and trying to call me, poor thing, and just felt alone. Like, you know how
Yeah,
you share a bond with a person
for
and
sure.
there's only one person in the world that you want to talk to it about. And that's what this was. And I wasn't, oh, I feel so bad to this day that I wasn't awake because she just had to like sit there and like, oh my God,
Right,
um, waiting for me to get up. And we were like, well, who did it? And we both said in that conversation has to be someone within the family. It has to be one of them.
oh really?
No one would go to that property because at that point we knew that it was on their property. I think we had already heard that it was with their guns, something weird.
Mm,
We were like, there's no way. People, again, because people we're so afraid of that family. And
right.
to sneak on the Moselle property and kill Maggie and Paul, that's like killing the governor's family. Like it's super risky and would be very almost impossible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. How if it has reporting on this case like changed you either as a person or as a journalist?
Oh, it has changed me a whole lot. I don't want to say I was naive before, but I was naive I think most people are naive, honestly, to the amount of evil that exists in the
Yes.
world. And I was really exposed to that, not only with what I was finding out in the case and what people were doing to cover up for the Murdaughs and all of that, but and I don't know if you've encountered this, the really gross world of true crime really bummed me out.
Hmm.
There's all of these like Facebook groups and Reddit groups that really got into my psyche
Uh-huh.
for a while. They would just spread rumors. They would attack me for everything that I said, like just constantly creating and really what pissed me off the most was attacking the victims who were involved, attacking like the boat crash victims and accusing them of murder just because they want to,
Mm.
and just baselessly coming up with theories. I just thought that that whole world was really, really cruel and mean.
Hmm.
And then like honestly, um the fight for the documentary, which I got out of. The several companies asked me to be in their documentaries. I got really, really pressured in really, really weird ways, and that I wasn't comfortable with. And finally, I just said, like, I don't want anything to do with this. I can't be again. I really love documentaries too. Like I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of Erin Lee Carr, like
Yeah.
huge fan. I was really, really glad to meet her because she was one of the only people in this world that I was suddenly in that seemed to actually give a shit about the people involved in these stories and not just like cha-ching, cha-ching.
Right.
Uh, like a lot. It just, again, I have, and one thing that I've learned going back to that question is that I have really good instincts on people, and I've been right again and again and again on people throughout the story that I'm like, nope, don't trust that, and
Yeah.
then.
It's such a good
And
skill to have.
yeah, it
Like,
is. It
yes.
is. And I think women especially need to like we have to gas ourselves up about it
Yeah.
and know that we have the skill and be right several times and then like, yeah, I have that skill. I'm honing in on
And then
that.
just
Like,
trust it. Yeah,
Trust
just
it. Yeah,
trust
just
it.
trust it. Stop
Yeah,
questioning it. I spent too many years questioning it, and I
for sure.
spent too many years questioning myself of if I had the right instincts to be in this. But yeah, and I've gained a ton of confidence on the flip side. I have really learned a lot about, and the other thing I've learned about how shows are made.
Yeah, of course.
With the Hulu show, I had no idea how anything like that would come to life. And I was really, really honored to be able to be an executive producer on that project. And not only that, but every time that I wanted to go to set, I could go and watch and learn. And that was just a fascinating world for me. That was like, it was like going to Disney World for me,
For sure.
have you ever done anything like,
Um, I've made a couple of
I know
documentaries,
you've made documentaries.
but
Yes.
not like on a set where it's a narrative. But I have been like I go to meetings at the NBC offices in
That's
LA,
cool
and
too.
the sets are all there and there's stuff happening, and that's what it feels like. It feels like Disneyland.
It does.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
The first time I was on the lot in the golf cart, it was like,
Yes.
I feel like a little kid. Like this is just so cool.
Yes.
Um, but that's been the reward of it. A lot for a long time, I struggled with mental health. I struggled while reporting on this story of just like constantly finding out how many terrible people there were in the world and constantly just like, oh, there's more, but there's more, and this gets worse. And that just got really, really depressing and hard to deal with. And I just kind of became bitter toward this story for a while. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie, because and I had people on the internet constantly saying, like, Mandy's nothing without Murdaugh, and she's gonna work at McDonald's as soon as this is over because she's worthless, and like she just like saw a cash king and blah blah blah. And I let a lot of those voices get into my head, which is another thing. Like, don't even look at it.
Yeah,
Don't,
don't even look at it. It's like no
don't
matter
look at it.
what you do in life, if you do A or you do B, half the world's going to criticize you for this and half for this. And all those people like at home behind a computer with their opinions, it's their own insecurities. It has nothing to do with you. You got to 100% ignore those. Oh,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's people that aren't making things. It's people
Yes,
that aren't doing the
they're not putting
thing.
themselves
Like,
out there. They're not doing anything.
yeah.
They're actually just mad at themselves. It's just coming
Exactly.
out towards you or
Yeah.
whoever.
And they're
You
like,
know what I
I'm going to
mean?
criticize you because yeah. And
Yes.
like, that was just something that I had to figure out of like, oh, wow, like these people really are. It's not just saying that to make myself feel better that they're jealous.
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
mad at themselves and they're not doing, and you also stop to think about like, uh, they're always what is Brene the critic the critic's not the one it's always the critics in the seats, not the ones getting their ass kicked. Like
Right.
the worst critics are always the ones in the in the cheap seats just taking shots from afar.
It's so
And
true.
yeah, and you learn that and you're like, "Oh wow, okay, I can learn." And that's also a really beautiful skill to really have the worst things in the world said about you on the internet and read them and know that you'll be okay afterwards, and know like
Yes.
you can learn and know that like, oh, I know more about myself and I love myself more than to even go down there with starting to believe any of that.
Yep.
And I don't care. Like, say it.
Yeah, for sure. I always remind myself of this because I also let stuff like that get under my skin and then I start to feel bad. I always remind myself all those things they're saying, all those ways that they're acting say a lot more about them and
Yeah.
nothing about you. And it's
Yeah.
just to remind yourself of that. And you're like, oh, this is a you problem. Like, it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with
Yeah.
me.
It is people that are insecure and they do not have the bravery to do the things that we are
Yes.
doing. And so they beat up on other people. And I also
Yeah.
stopped to think of like every successful person that I know
Do that.
would never go out of their day to write a
Never.
negative
They'll support
comment,
you. It's yes.
to write somebody an email to say that their show sucks. Like
Yes. Yes.
no
Yes.
successful person I've ever met. They go
Yes.
out of their way to, like we were saying, pump each other up,
Yeah.
like to compliment people. And I do a lot more of that too because I know how much it matters.
Yeah, me
Like
too. Me too.
I know how much on days when it's like, what am I even doing here? When
Yeah.
a random person messages me on Instagram and said, I saw your work and I really appreciate you've inspired me to do this. Like that stuff makes my life and it
Yeah.
makes all of us keep going. So like we all need to compliment each other more. And like all need to, because we all have those, everybody has critics out there that we have to drown those voices out and with positivity and pump people up.
For sure, for sure. When I met all of you guys, you, Aaron, your husband was so sweet. That's the energy you all gave off, by the way. So it was really awesome. Yeah.
Erin's a big pumper upper too.
Yeah, I could
Like
tell.
she's so great and we're really good friends now. She actually went to dinner with we saw her in Denver and her giving advice to my friend was the sweetest thing in the world. She was like, you need to make Post-its. You are hot and put that into your, put that in your mirror and tell it to yourself every day. You are hot. You are great. Yeah. Erin's the best pumper
Good for
upper.
her. Yeah, she really was. She was when we met that day too. She was so sweet. That's awesome. When you look back at this case and everything, the crime, the case, the all of it, is there anything in hindsight that you see differently today than you did when you were living it in real time?
Definitely Paul's character, which I was really glad that they captured that on this show. Before he died, especially, I just heard nonstop bad things about Paul.
Yeah.
Nonstop stories about him getting drunk and beating people up and
Mm,
all of his DUIs. And he just seemed to me like a gross, spoiled
mm.
white kid. And like, honestly, nothing was redeeming about him
Yeah.
to me. And then I started talking to people closer to him and start after he died, and also that it took that too after he died.
Mm,
And also just getting a better picture of what his family life was
hmm.
and who his father was. I really thought that Paul was the worst one in the family, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Um, I did not think it was Alec. And especially like this summer after Paul was murdered, I really was like, oh, wow. Paul was the son of a narcissist, the son of an alcoholic narcissist who raised him with no sense of accountability and
Hmm.
no, he was really trying to get mental health help, and his father shamed it. I just don't. So I see him just, and I also see him as he died at 21. He
Hmm.
didn't really have a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah. Or grow and learn from any of
Grow
that.
and
Sometimes you
learn.
look back and realize your parents, made mistakes or weren't,
Yeah, yeah. When you're
right?
21, it's really hard to have different views from your parents and think that your
Yes.
parents raised you in the wrong way, and you don't have time to really fix it. Several of his friends told me that if they really believed that if Alec and Maggie would have allowed him, he would have just pled guilty to the boat crash and
Mm,
just um, taken whatever the punishment was. And that was one of my biggest problems with him. It's like
right.
he's dragging this out. He's not taking accountability. He's like putting the Beach family through so much more. He's putting all those kids that were on that boat through so much more. And now I just see that very different. So yeah, I mean that's another big lesson. Like people can be two things at once,
Hmm.
absolutely, but there's always just more to learn about a person. You can't really just write them off because of one bad thing.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. That was definitely a tough, tough situation in life for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, I have to ask you this. What does it feel like to have Brittany play you on the Hulu series?
I love this question and I want to show you. A fan of mine, you can't really read it, but this says Brittany
Brittany,
Snow
so you
played
played.
me.
Yes.
And then it said, bitch.
That's amazing. That is
I'm obsessed with
amazing.
this pillow.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
the best, most like greatest compliment in the world. She is a wonderful, wonderful human being, not only a great actress. And honestly, it was so weird. Like I was a big fan of her from Pitch Perfect and John Tucker Must Die, and those shows that we watched when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And so I found out she was playing me, which was about a year ago, I was like, "Oh my God, this is so exciting!" Ah.
Yeah.
And also, she's so pretty. Like
Yeah, she's so pretty.
me, Like,
Yes,
oh
so
my
awesome.
God. Uh, Finding that out was crazy. And then the fact that she was like a fan of my podcast and listened to the entire thing, like knew the entire story. Um, that was a huge compliment. And getting to know, and that she wanted to play me, like
Yeah.
that was just the best compliment in the world and something that like I wanted on I wanted on t-shirts. I want like everybody to ask me about it all the time because it was just so great. And um she was respectful of my story, and I know that it wasn't a huge role for her. She wasn't like number one on the call sheet or anything, but like she read my whole book in like 2 days and was texting me the whole time, like, oh my God, this part, this part, this part. But something that really struck me and stuck out to me, and made me think like, I know this is exactly why you're the perfect person to play me. She really she read in my book that my brother died when I was 7 and he was 9, and that was a whole huge impact on my life and how I look at things and why I really work to help grieving families and why I live my life the way that I do. Um, she wanted that to be a part of my story.
Mm.
And there's a little scene in episode 5. It was originally longer that like Brittany really, really pushed for and was like, man, people need to know this about Mandy. And that was just something that I thought was so special and will never forget. And I just appreciate her and love her.
That is so beautiful. That really, really is. Yeah, I can
I got to
absolutely.
see that scene as she was doing it. I had to like pretend I wasn't there at first because Aaron was the director that day. And Aaron was like, Brittany's gonna freak, like, don't, you're gonna mess her up. And so I had to like, but I got to watch her from Video Village as she was saying that speech. And I didn't know that this was gonna happen. And my husband and I just cried and cried. And then they called cut, and I got to run onto set and hug Brittany and tell her how great she did.
Oh,
And we both were just like, this is just such a moment because, like, this is so sad, but like, most women don't get this. You don't get somebody playing you in a way that's honoring your story, at least until you die. Like,
right,
most, you
right.
like, and we got to get to know each other. So it was just a beautiful gift to both of us that we'll always
Yeah,
cherish.
that's so beautiful. I'm sorry that that happened.
No,
I'm
and
happy that you got that experience
yeah,
at least. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so tell me today, what is happening with this Supreme Court appeal? What's
Oh,
the update?
girl,
What is going on?
he could get a new trial. We could be doing this again. I think it was 2 weeks ago was the Supreme Court hearing. I was surprised because nothing new came out, but the judges were reacting to the facts in a way that made me really think that they are going to decide to give Alex Murdaugh another trial. And he's already had a hearing in 2024. He had a hearing in front of Justice Toll, who reviewed all of this same information and said that nothing that happened at the jury was not tampered with, nothing that happened with Becky Hill, who is the crazy clerk of court. Another character that like, whoo, the as my faith in humanity was depleting, and she did that. It was like, God, like you can't even be the clerk of court. Has to
Right,
like
right.
be so the clerk of court was charged with misconduct in office for a separate event, and honestly, that does not surprise me. South Carolina, everything's corrupt. Um, But she was accused of by one juror of saying, and I think it's going to come down to this. There's one juror, the 11 other jurors that did not vote said she did not say this, but said before Alex went on the stand, like, watch his body language. He might trick you, like, watch him for tricks.
Mm.
Like, be skeptical of him,
Hmm.
essentially.
Hmm.
So she said that he said that. The other 11 jurors said that he didn't say that. She did not say anything about this after she rendered her verdict. Months later, Alex, and this is what makes me mad. Alex attorneys went to all the jurors. I can't say that word.
Yeah, I know.
Jurors' houses and knocked on their doors and basically asked them questions leading to, like, but did she do that? But did you do that? And they got one to say that this happened and to sign an affidavit. And then her story has changed several times. And it has just been this long, drug out thing that it could just come down to they don't think that they think that one juror might have heard Becky say something. But it's just, it drives me crazy because do you think that's stupid? Like,
Right. Right.
uh, and they've added more, like, I don't know. I think that he got a fair trial. I think that in South Carolina, most murder trials, if we want to be honest, are less than 3 days. He got a
Yeah.
6 week trial because his defense was so expensive. And
Right.
it was a different scenario because of how much privilege he has. And he absolutely, in my opinion, got a fair trial. I think, again, and the jurors have said this, they could not get past the fact that he lied about being at the kennels right before Maggie and Paul were killed.
Right.
And uh, how do you think that it's anybody else?
For sure.
Yeah, I just think that there was an overwhelming amount of evidence during the hearing. They went over a lot of it, and it again made me realize and made me even more confident if they have another trial, he will be found guilty. Um, I think in every criminal trial, when you pick apart, first of all, if in every criminal trial the super powerful defense attorneys are allowed to basically harass jurors to the point where they
Mm.
say what they want to say, I think that, and then that changes the verdict. I think that we're never going to get guilty
Yeah,
verdicts
that's an
after
even
that. You
more
know what I
broken
mean?
system and a
Like, that's going
scary
to
way to
change
operate.
everything.
For sure.
I think what Judge Newman did in the trial, and what should have preserved the verdict is he asked every single juror, did anything influence you? Did you come to this decision on your own? Blah, blah, blah. And they all said yes in that moment.
Right.
And it's like when you get to the point when in 4 months down the road, asking people about something that was also traumatic and like the craziest experience of these people's lives, yeah, you could get them to say, like, maybe the clerk said something offhand.
Hmm.
But should
Hmm.
that
Negate the entire initial
yeah,
trial.
right. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And when 11 jurors still said no, she didn't say that. And like,
Yeah.
no, I came up with my conclusion on my own. I was not influenced. I just think I would hope that that sticks. But the good news is that he has 70 years in prison for the financial crimes. So he's locked up forever, no matter what happens. But it would just
Oh,
be
well, that's
incredibly
good.
crazy if we would do this trial again.
Again, yes. Would you be prepared for that? Or are you kind of like put that behind you and happy that it's behind you?
You know what? It's so funny. A year ago, I would have done anything else in the world than do another trial. Like run a marathon, I'd rather do that. I wouldn't, that doesn't sound fun, but I'd rather do
It
it.
does
Like
not.
anything in the world I would have done besides go back to another Murdaugh trial. But now after the show has come out and I'm a lot less bitter toward the whole thing and I've had some like time and distance and I still unfortunately know it like the back of my hand. Like I know the times, I know like
Of course. You lived
yeah.
it.
So it's easy for me. It would be easy for me to cover it now. So I am ready. Like I'll do it if I have to.
Wow. Good for you. Good for
Whew.
you. Yeah.
I don't want to though.
So crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you at all.
I
Do
don't want
you,
to though.
yeah, for sure. Do you feel safe now living in the same city, same everything?
You know, I go back and forth. I feel safer than I used to. But I'm still really questioning if I want to continue to live here.
Hmm.
And still like wonder, like when we spent a month in Colorado, it was really, I was like, oh, I'm sleeping better when
Hmm.
I know that the local cops don't hate me and like
For
all
sure.
these things. Um, I I love it here too much. South Carolina has broken my heart, and like my co-host Liz, she left right after the trial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she lived here longer than I did, was living here for 15 years, and she just was like, I'm out. I can't deal with this anymore. It's too stressful to live here.
Yeah. I think I would do that too.
When you don't trust the system
Hmm.
and everybody above you is corrupt. I've called out our local solicitor many times on the podcast, local judges. It's just like there's just a lot of corruption and it's just really, but I want to fight it too. So I have just, we'll probably move at some point.
Yeah. Well, with the way the world works now, you could still fight it living somewhere where you feel safer and sleep better, because
Exactly.
everything
Then
is so digital.
that's the beauty in that. Like most everything we do over Zoom
Yeah.
and we cover a lot of court hearings in that way. And I don't physically have to really be anywhere for most of my job, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
like New York?
I love New York. It
You
was
love
my
New York.
favorite city before I moved here, so I dreamt of, I'm from
Aw.
Canada. I dreamt of living here. And
Oh,
so,
you're
yeah.
from Canada?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Yes, I
Dual
know I can leave.
citizenship.
I know. I know. I know. I tell all my friends I'll take you with me if
I
you
heard the
want.
other day that if you have a Canadian ancestor and you can prove it, that you can get citizenship. And I know that like I have a great grandfather from Canada. So maybe I'll try it. Who
This is
knows?
a whole nother conversation that we'll have when we're, not on the Zoom call. But like when I first immigrated here, it was so funny because I looked into both like immigrating to Canada and immigrating here. It was night and day. Like the Canadian site was like, oh, if you have $10,000 in your bank, you're welcome. Apply.
Come
And
on.
it was like this friendly, like nice message. Getting here, they were like, we need x-rays of your full body. You have to like mail them to us. I had to do that. I mean, it was insane. And they have them on file. I don't know for what. And I mean, you could definitely get to Canada. It was so difficult to get here.
But also I'm like, I wouldn't blame Canada for doing the same thing now. Like,
Yeah, they won't though. They're just not the same.
yeah, Canadians are
Yes.
very nice
Yeah,
and
but yeah, I'll take you with
welcoming.
me. I tell all my friends, I'll take you with me. We'll sponsor you, whatever.
What part of Canada are you from?
I moved here from Toronto because I went to college in Toronto, but I'm from
Cool.
Calgary, Alberta, which is a lot like Colorado. Very,
Oh,
very similar
cool.
in every way, like mountains and
Awesome.
all of it. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Anyways, is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to talk about?
I think you covered everything. I loved your questions.
Oh, yay. Okay,
This
great.
was really fun.
Yeah, this was so fun. Can I just tell you that I love your energy. I love how
Oh, thank
unfiltered
you.
and like just honest and authentic
Oh,
you are.
thank you. That's also something that I've gained throughout this whole process of just, I realized very quickly that I could not be in the box that a lot of mainstream media reporters were in.
Yes.
And I just learned to be myself and just fuck it. Like,
Yeah, it's the only way to be.
it's the only way, and it's just way easier that way
Yes.
too. Like, I
Yes.
used to really worry, like, oh, what do I wear? What do I, and no, just be yourself. Like,
Yeah, and that's the only way you find your people. That's the only
yeah,
way,
oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
And the right people come to you when you're authentic and you live your
exactly.
life in an authentic way versus like being fake and trying really hard. I like I never got like a lot of the reporters, the mainstream reporters that were on Murdaugh. I just never really got along with them, but they were snooty to me and they were mean to me on the internet and they were like,
Mm,
it just it went through a lot, but there was a time in my life where I was like, oh, like I want to sit at that table, like I want to be in that club, and now I'm
sure.
like, fuck that club. I don't, I
Yeah, for
don't want
sure. For sure. And I mean, I don't want to be mean, but who are they and where are they now? You're the only name I
right.
know
Yeah,
related to this
they're in the
case.
same position that yeah, and it's like but that's what happens when you put yourself into a box. You're just
Yeah.
gonna stay there
Yeah.
forever. And I'm glad that I've really learned how to love myself.
That's awesome. Well, let's end on that note because that's beautiful.
Aw,
Yeah.
aw, I love this. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for this.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and tell
Of
David I said
course,
hi too.
I
And
will.